it's Andrea. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another speed build. Today I'm doing a haunted Gothic Victorian style home, which I'm really excited about, and also I have another story time for you. So I had mentioned that I lived in a haunted house a while ago, and I thought that this would be the perfect time to tell you about it. So if you don't want to listen to it, feel free to mute me, but otherwise, let's get into it. So here, the background is that this was in 2010. I moved into a house with three other roommates. My best friend at the time, her boyfriend, and then one of their guy friends. Excuse me. Actually, I didn't really know him, so we looked all over. We couldn't find anything. No one would rent to us because we were like four kids and it wasn't happening. But finally we found this house that was kind of like it was not exactly where we wanted it to be, but it was close enough, right? So we went for it and it was cheap and it had enough bedrooms. So it was good. It had a huge yard. It had this awesome view of there was like a lake near there. Like you could see it. When the trees in the fall. It was just so gorgeous. Anyway, so all we knew about it was that the landlord had mentioned that the previous tenant was an old woman and she had a lot of cats. I don't know anything other than that. And so the first day that I moved in, it was just me and my friend. The guys hadn't moved in yet and they weren't going to for another like week or so. And she left to run some errands and I stayed behind to like keep unpacking because obviously like why would I go with her anyway? And the entire time it just felt like someone was watching me, but I totally like I just chalked it up to like okay, like this is a new house, a new place, like it's unfamiliar, it's an old house, like it's gonna be weird. So I didn't think anything of it at that time, like it didn't bother me. And nothing really started to happen until that guy friend moved in. And the morning after the first night he'd spent there, he was like, who was walking around all night? And no one knew. We're like, no one. Like we were all sleeping, but and he's not the only one that said that. Like I never heard it, multiple people were like, "Oh, it just sounded like someone was walking around all night," and that totally could be. Like it's an old house, right? It could have been settling, whatever. But the fact that multiple people talked about it, I have friends and. I had friends that would not, they stayed there once and they would never stay there again. Like, I don't know. And then of course nothing else happened. Fast forward a few weeks, we got a cat, and it's really important that you know he was a cream colored cat, okay? This is important. So it was maybe like, I don't know, like a month or even less than having moved in. I had just started classes, I was going to school, and I was between classes and I went to Target and I came out of Target and my phone was basically blown up because my roommate, my friend, was texting me and she was like hysterical. That something basically all I could really get out of her was that there was like a disturbance of some sort in the kitchen and the cat was acting strange. So I actually just skipped class and went home. And so it's also important to note that it was September in the Midwest and it can be either cold or warm, but it was very, very warm that day. So I got there and she was sitting on the steps outside, so I went inside, let the cat out because she locked him in the bathroom. And I'm not like honestly, like I'm not even sure how to describe the way that the house felt. Like the air was cold, but it was also like thick. It was just I don't know. It was weird. It felt like someone had just been there. It just I don't know. It like ooh, it just I get a reaction every time I think about it. It was just it wasn't the same. And then we made like the dumbest mistake of our lives. So please don't judge me. Like you couldn't pay me to touch one of these now, but we got a Ouija board from one of our friends. And honestly, that was probably what triggered things to continue to get worse. I personally never touched the board, but it was definitely used. And then nothing on the board itself happened. So the little Ouija thing didn't move, it nothing. But as soon as the two people that were working the board, as soon as they touched the board, there was like a crash in the kitchen and then a growling. And I'm getting chills just even saying it, like that growling. I don't even know. I have no idea what it was. The cat was with us in the living room. There was nothing crashed in the kitchen. There was nothing on the floor. And that was the scariest thing. And so we all stood up and were like, okay, like what the heck? And all of a sudden, like I just felt like this surging anger. Like I was just, it was like something was screwing with my mood and I was pissed. Like, and it wasn't just me, it was everyone in the room that all of a sudden we were just angry. And so we stepped outside and those feelings lifted instantly. And it was a very calm night, and all of a sudden the wind just picked up like so strong that it was like blowing dust and leaves and all that stuff for like I don't know, it lasted like 2 seconds and then it was calm again. And it was the strangest thing, and I'm getting chills again just talking about it. Um, yeah, and it was just so weird how we went outside and we just immediately felt better. It, oh my gosh. And I feel like after that, like things really escalated. Like they never got like super what I would consider super bad, and I think that's because I actually didn't even last the entire lease. I moved out after 8 or 9 months. But after that, it was just all sorts of small things that kind of accumulated. Like I'd get very unusual nightmares. I would see what seemed to be like a black cat darting around the corners. I saw this multiple times. I would have this weird vision just randomly pop into my head of a shadow figure in the kitchen. And it seemed like the kitchen and the living room and the stairway were where most of the weirdness tended to happen. We also had one of those little Christmas villages, you know, that people like they collect all the little houses and they light up and stuff. We had one on our table, and we'd unplug it at night, and we'd come down in the morning. It would be plugged in again and turned on. Lights would turn on, doors would open themselves. I think one of the scariest moments for me, and I don't know, maybe this doesn't seem scary to anyone else, but I had just got back from the store. I was putting away groceries. I was done, so I turned around, was going to go out into the living room, and realized I forgot something. So I turned around, and every single cupboard door in the kitchen, even the ones I did not use, were wide freaking open. And I cannot even explain to you just the feeling that went through my body at that time, because I was like, there's no way. At first I was like, okay, like let's take a step back and think about this rationally. Like maybe I left cupboard doors open, but no, every single cupboard door was open. It and it was only a split second that I had my back turned, which is the creepiest thing. Like there's no way. Like I don't know. One of the other things that happened was that my mental health deteriorated incredibly quickly. My anxiety in that house was constantly on like 110%. There were times when I don't even like I'd find myself, and this is scary. Like this actually genuinely scares me. There were times when I'd find myself standing at the top of the stairs and have no idea when I had even gotten up or, walked to the stairs. Um, but the anxiety and just the oppressive feeling in that house were insane. Because you'd feel instantly better when you stepped outside. And I don't know, like, I don't know if anything happened in that house. I don't know if we were all just crazy and then nothing was happening in that house. Or there were instances too where once it snowed, because this was in Minnesota, so it snows a lot there, and there would be footsteps in the snow, like in the middle of the snow. No footsteps, leading up to them. They would just be in the middle of the snow. They would kind of end. And there's no way you can do that. If you've ever walked in snow before, you know that you cannot retrace your steps perfectly without messing up the snow. Yeah, and they would start in the middle. Footsteps, I remember seeing like footprints on the roof. It just, it was just weird. And I don't know, like I don't know if the Ouija board had anything to do with it. I honestly don't. I think whatever was there was already there. Maybe we just aggravated it more. But it was weird, and I honestly think that it affected. I don't think it just affected my mood. Like I think it affected the friendships of the people in the house. Like I don't unfortunately don't talk to anyone that I lived with at that time. It just yeah, it was weird, and you could not pay me. Like I still have nightmares about that house. Like I get night terrors and every once in a while, and I'd say like 99% of the time if I can remember their content, because usually you can't remember. If you have a like nightmares you can usually remember, night terrors you usually don't. But sometimes I do, and it's usually about that house yeah, it's 90, I'd say 95% of the time it's about that house. And it's just, I don't know. Like, I wish I knew. Like, I wish I could go and like talk to the people who are living there now and like see if anything has happened to them. I wish it would be interesting to know. It just was so like, even like when I was home alone, I would never, like, I would literally get everything that I needed and go upstairs and like stay in my room because nothing creepy besides nightmares ever happened in my room. Lights didn't turn on, nothing. I never saw anything weird, nothing in my room. And but all over the house, the rest of the house, like, yeah, like I said, there were people who refused to stay over after spending the night one night. I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. I just know that they would not, that was just a thing that they wouldn't come back and spend the night because it was creepy sleeping on the couch in a living room. Um, and yeah, so this was like the first. I've had weird paranormal things happen to me before, and I do have another story. Actually, I still have a little bit of time, so let's just go for it. So, even before all this happened, I was living with my best friend from high school, and we were staying in this little teeny house, and she got this boyfriend who was like, he was weird, guys, like so weird. And he claimed, this is so dumb, he claimed that he had been to hell and heaven, and he had met like the devil and blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't buy any of that. Right? I was like, okay, dude, whatever you say. But we went for a walk one night, and all of a sudden, my friend started acting really strangely, and she just stopped talking. And I'm like, what the heck? And so, whatever. Like, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we got back to the house, and hit her and him went inside, and all of a sudden he comes running out, and he's like, Andrea, Andrea, and I'm like, what? Like, what do you want? Because I hated him, and he's like, do you have a notebook? And I'm like, okay, why? And he's like, well, I'm not going to say her name, we'll just call her B, but B is acting really strange. And I was like, okay. So I get up to the porch where he's standing, and he's like, listen, he's like, I think she's possessed. He's like, something's wrong with her. And guys, I walked in the kitchen and I didn't even recognize my best friend. Like, her eyes were like, her pupils were so dilated. I have never seen anything like that before in my life. I went up to get a notebook, I handed it to her, and she started writing, right? And the handwriting that she was writing in wasn't hers. And I'd gone to school with this girl. I knew this girl for like, I don't know, 15 years at this point. I knew her handwriting, and that wasn't hers. And it said, hello, my name is Isabel Joe. Don't you remember me? And then there was a whole paragraph more. But at that point, I was like noping on out of there, okay? Because that is the weirdest thing. And then this happened regularly, but only when he was around. And I don't know if he like, it wouldn't surprise me if he like hypnotized her or something, but I know he had something to do with it. I know he did. And every time he was around, this would happen. And it's like she would go into this trance and her pupils would dilate. She'd stop talking, and like her eyes would never leave him. And it was the weirdest thing. And yeah, like I said, like I don't know what it was, whether it was a possession of some sort or whether he was just screwing around with her, because there's no way she could have done that and like passed it off. Like, there's no way. And that wasn't her personality either, to do things like that and be really deceptive. And like I said, after they broke up, it never happened again. Um, but I know that she would have a lot of dreams too about a person she would call Isabel. And it was just, yeah, it was weird. I will tell you that right now. And I kind of look back on it, I'm like, what the heck is my life? But anyway, I think I'm gonna just kind of wrap this up. Like, I basically told you like the gist of everything. I'm really curious, like, if anyone else, like, if you believe in the paranormal, if you've had any paranormal experiences, if you have any idea what my experiences could have been, like, if you don't believe in paranormal. So anyway, like, definitely let me know all that in the comments below. I'm really interested in it. I definitely think that I do believe. I'm also a little bit skeptical, so I don't know. Anyway, if you did enjoy this, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. And like I said, definitely let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And if you aren't already, you should go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because I have a lot of awesome content where this came from. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far, for bearing with me in my rambly, ridiculous stories. Anyway, I hope you have an amazing day.